Hello and welcome to the Disenfranchised podcast, the most Jerkin podcast known to man. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy. We're that podcast about those franchises of one, those films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I, once again, am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, your favorite punk rock prom queen. It's Brett Wright. Hey, Brett.
Hello, Stephen.
How we doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Pretty jerkin.
Pretty jerkin. Everything's jerkin these days.
Everything's jerkin.
Jerkin is the new cool.
It is indeed.
And speaking of the new cool, it's America's favorite trend pimp, Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, I'm also Jerkin, and that was going to be really funny, but you guys just took all the wind out of my sails.
Right there. It was right there.
Literally, you were going to say the most obvious thing that anyone could have said. So I really just beat you to it by saying the most obvious thing I possibly could have said.
I mean, it's the last line. It's literally the last line of the movie if you watch all the way through the credits.
Well, it is at the end of the credits, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
God, I love this movie. What movie are we talking about, Tucker?
We're talking about Josie and the Pussycats. They've got the long tails and the ears for hats.
2001.
They got guitars and Marshall stacks.
Josie and the Pussycats, written and directed by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfont, starring Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, Rosario Dawson, Gabriel Mann, Paolo Costanzo. Excuse me.
There it is.
Missy Pyle, Alan Cumming, Parker Posey, Tom Butler, Donald Faison, Seth Green, Breckin Meyer, Alexander Martin, Serena Alshall, Carson Daly, Aries Spears, Eugene Levy, Kenneth Babyface Edmonds.
I'm saying Babyface, yeah. You guys saw Babyface. He's on the behind the music. He's the
He's the chief.
Tennille, yeah. He's great. He's great.
What a cast, and dare I say it, gentlemen, what a picture.
Man. Hell yeah, it absolutely is. I hadn't seen this movie since it came out, I think.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
How do you not watch this movie every year, Brett?
Man, you know me, I don't rewatch movies very often unless I'm absolutely in love with them. Which you could argue, why am I not absolutely in love with this movie?
Yes, that was going to be my next question. Yeah,
I don't know, man. I guess I just assumed most '90s movies of its ilk, it didn't hold up. Boy, was I wrong.
This movie holds up better than just about any other movie that came out around the time, honestly. This movie holds up shockingly well.
I mean, outside of your, major blockbusters of the 90s, yes, I would agree. So,
so you haven't seen this since it came out. Did you see it in theaters? Did you see it on VHS? How did you first engage with this one, Brett?
I'm pretty sure this was smack dab around the time, as I mentioned before, where my dad had that side gig doing, early screenings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think went and saw it for one of those. So that I do believe that means I got a poster. I know I had a copy of the Rolling Stone that they were on the cover of.
Nice.
I remember being pretty not obsessed with this movie, but pretty into it. I mean, I was an MTV kid. I was definitely very much into MTV and pop music at the time.
A thing I think you mentioned on our Aeon Flux episode.
Probably.
Also, it probably didn't help that they're three very good-looking girls in this movie and not a bra to be seen.
Nope.
That's what I was going to say next. Yes, I'm pretty
sure.
As
a shallow, superficial heterosexual male. Yes.
Hey, you are what you are.
I mean, well, look, that was very formative years for young Brett, and
it's the year I graduated high school.
I'm pretty sure Rachel Lee Cook look in this movie influenced a lot of what I was attracted to going forward. So,
yep. She looks great. They all look great. Parker Posey looks great. Alan Cumming looks great.
Oh my gosh. This cast, I don't think anyone in this cast has ever been hotter than they are in this movie. And this is an incredibly hot cast from top to bottom.
Except for the fact that what happened to Tara Reid post this movie kind of colored her. I didn't really, at the time I probably thought she was, incredibly attractive in this movie, but hindsight being what it is, I I just felt sorry for her the entire movie. Like, you have no idea what's about to come for you, and I feel so bad.
I think maybe one of her last great performances. We can get into the Tara Reid of it all if you'd like.
We can do that later.
All right, we'll get into it. Absolutely, Tucker. What about you? How did you first engage with this movie?
Well, I worked at the Lowe's and Cherry Tree when this movie came out, and I watched it a lot. I came and watched it when I was not at work because I could come and see whatever movie I wanted whenever I wanted because I worked there. And I actually put this movie together. I cut this movie and put the trailers into it and loaded it on the platter and watched it the Wednesday before it came out by myself at like 2:00 in the morning. And then from doing ushering and going in and taking my breaks, I would take my breaks in that movie. And that would be fun. That's taking breaks at that movie theater is how I discovered two of the best foods to put together are popcorn and hot nacho cheese. It's not an easy thing to do because popcorn be small. So there's not a lot of dipping that you can really do, and your fingers are going to get dirty. But it's worth it.
Unless you're using chopsticks.
Way too messy to just pour the nacho cheese over top of the popcorn?
Yeah, it gets squishy. It's like when you put marinara sauce on bread, and you're like, oh, wow, now I'm eating mush. Great. Kind of like that. It's a thing where you have to dip it and eat it. You can't just like sit it in there because then it'll just turn into mush. Yeah.
Do you butter the popcorn prior to dipping it into the nacho cheese?
You can, but you don't have to.
Does it improve?
It depends on how frisky that you're feeling. I wouldn't say that it improves it, but it changes it slightly. It's just another variation that is of equal quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
That reminds me when I worked at a movie theater, that's where I first discovered nacho cheese on a hot dog, which I had never had at the time. I was only like 14 or 15, so I was young. I wasn't aware of cheese on a hot dog at the time,
and they were beef hot dogs too, so they were salty as shit.
They were.
Get that nacho cheese on there.
Yeah, because it's not something we sold at the theater. So it was like,
I'm getting chest pains just listening to you guys talk about that.
Me too.
Yeah, same.
Ow.
So good. It's so good.
Oh, do I need another stent? No. Like I need a hole in the head.
I've always loved this movie from the first time I saw it, and every subsequent time that I've seen it. Every friend that I've taken under my wing as a movie mentor, I've showed them this film and they've loved it. I had it on VHS at a time. My roommate has the DVD of it, which is what I've been watching until the Blu-ray came out, probably for the last decade. And unfortunately, she's a ding-dong, and she bought it at Walmart, so it's edited. So I've been watching the edited version until I got my Blu-ray.
I have seen the edited version. It is ridiculous. I will talk about that here in a second.
Yeah, do not like. But luckily, the Blu-ray came out a couple years ago. Finally, for the 20th anniversary, they put out the Blu-ray, and I pre-ordered that MF. That came to my door a day early.
I need this movie to come out on 4K, and I need it in a steelbook.
I would love to have it on 4K for sure, but it's not. For me, it's not something that I don't know that it would improve the experience too much for me. It's not something like Virgin Suicides where it completely changes the movie because the colors are so much more. I don't even know what the colors are, but there's so much more color.
I mean, the colors in this movie are phenomenal. Like this movie looks great. Like all the sparkles and sequins and like the color contrast against like the stark white of the backgrounds once they become famous, like I think would look really, really great on a 4K, honestly.
I really want to see the McDonald's logo in 4K.
Hell yes. Hell yes. We're going to get into the product placement of this movie too, because it is fucking brilliant.
It's the whole movie.
This movie is so... I still don't think people understand how good this movie is. Like this movie was doing so many subversive things in the early 2000s that we're still catching up with in the 2020s. Like it's really incredible. But yeah, I first caught this movie on VHS shortly after it came out. A buddy of mine, I think, had seen it in theaters and bought it when it came out and was like, you guys have to watch this. He and a couple of my other friends were actually in a punk rock band at the time. So there were three of them, three characters in the movie. They kind of resonated with this movie a little bit as kind of like musicians who really wanted to hit it big. And then we kind of picked up on some of the more subversive elements and latched on to some of those things and thought they were really fun. One of my friends was, well, I guess all of those friends, 2/3 of those friends are very conservative still to this day. And so they were like, oh, I don't want to watch, a movie with language and themes in it. So they bought the edited version at Walmart and watched it unironically. And it takes out like some of the best jokes in the movie, like the honk if you love pussy joke, not in the edited version. The last line of Eugene Levy's spiel is out because there's a bikini model with an American flag and he calls America the most ass-kicking planet or country on the planet. Like they're just you're missing like good chunks of like good stuff in this movie. The whole you slept with him line is taken out of there. Like so many great moments of this movie that are just completely gone as a result, which is a fucking bummer. Yeah. But I do remember at the end of the VHS tape, they did the music video for Backdoor Lover. They had the music video for Backdoor Lover at the end of the movie. So if you fast forwarded through the credits, you could get your du jour video, which was really fun.
Now that song's stuck in my head.
I do actually own this movie on VHS. I still own this movie I don't have a VHS player, but I own this movie on VHS.
All those VCRs, Steven. Those are called VCRs.
I don't have one of those.
Okay. Just making sure, because everybody that's like no disrespect to any of the younger generations. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, Gen Z sucks. And I don't even think labeling generations is healthy. But anyway, no offense to any of them, but on the internet, all the kids that are getting into like retro media and stuff, they call them VHS players. That's all they call them is VHS Tucker? Players. Why?
Because they don't call a DVD player something else. They don't call a Blu-ray player something else. They don't call a 4K player something else.
I get it.
It's the kind of media, and it's the thing that plays that kind of media. They didn't. We're young enough, or old enough, I guess. We're old enough that we know there's a different name for the thing and what you play it on. Like there's a cassette tape, and then there's your boombox or your Walkman. Like it's not a cassette player, although sometimes it was that.
But yeah,
or your tape deck.
Bad example, but tape yes, deck. I don't understand what you mean.
But again, like there were other names for it. Like a DVD player is a DVD player is a DVD player. So that's why.
Right.
Would be my guess.
It's
but no,
just ignorance. They don't know no better.
It's okay. And here's the thing: it still works as a descriptor. It works.
Yeah. Look, we still call it an ATM machine, and that's just as dumb. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, speak for yourself. ATM all the way. Full stop. ATM, period.
Well, good for you.
You know, I also took great pride.
For someone who goes out of their way to put S's on things that don't need them, that this is the hill you're willing to die on is weird.
You see, I like to switch things up, Steven. I like to be unpredictable, but predictable in my unpredictability. Well, who knows? There's like 150 people in my backyard. Who knows what that could be?
Sounds good. UFO land again?
Maybe. Who knows?
Man.
I'll ask Ed Crane if he's seen it.
There you go. But yeah, we are here to talk about Josie and the Pussycats, a movie that I never understood why this movie did not take off. And I think I don't know if the promotion wasn't there or what, but I feel like this movie should have been a much bigger hit than it was.
I remember why at the time. For honestly, the reason you sort of hinted at, I don't think people understood it. I think the satire of this movie and the subversiveness was way ahead of its time, and people didn't get it.
Mm-mm.
Well, I would argue that that's the same with the other film that the creative team for this film worked on before this, Can't Hardly Wait.
Which is also a great movie.
Agreed. And I think even though that one did do well, I still think in a lot of ways it probably did well for the wrong reasons. It was maybe a little too accessible and wasn't as evident as what they were trying to do. I think Can't Hardly Wait was kind of safe. They said what they wanted to say, but they wrapped it in the kind of wrapper that everybody likes to see.
I mean, it's very much your typical teen movie with a few elements that kind of take it out of that. So yeah, that tracks. And this movie is a lot more uncompromising.
speaking of when they're in the office, in Fiona's office, and they go down into the sub basement, and all the screens and the tickers are going. On one of the tickers, it says "Can't Hardly Wait" is an underrated movie.
Here's the thing. I watch this movie and I still pick out tiny little gags like that I didn't pick up on the first few times.
I only noticed that this time. That's why I'm so excited about it. I'd never seen it until this time that I watched it.
Yeah, that's I think one of the coolest things about a movie like this is there's always something to find. Like there are some things that are so hidden so deeply in the background and references that are so quick that if you blink, you absolutely miss them. And it's wild and it's so fun. It's one of the things I love about the movie, honestly.
Yeah, I think the product placement is like so in your face that I think people maybe didn't realize that was supposed to be a joke. If I recall, like
right, that tracks.
They took that too seriously. They didn't realize that was kind of the point.
Yeah, agreed. It's yeah, again, it's subversive of in a lot of ways of everything that pop culture was at that moment, and the fact that they got those people in on the joke, that you get Carson Daly to play himself as a part of a vast conspiracy, that you get all the MTV VJs like Serena Altschul to actually come in and play themselves in the movie as part of this grand conspiracy is incredibly subversive, but also what makes this movie really fun. And I think what makes it easier for people to miss that this is a send up of the whole music industry circa 2001. And it's fucking brilliant.
I think it's a comment on commercialism as a whole.
It is 100%.
It's focusing on the music industry, but I think it has what it's saying is a little bit of a wider reach than just that one facet of the entertainment industry.
Absolutely. But it was born out of, from my understanding, it was born out of Kaplan and Elfont, who were both like, I think, West Coast babies, and I think they were really a part of the grunge scene in Seattle in the early 90s when it was cropping up, kind of taking a look at the music industry as it was in the late 90s and going, what is this? Where did we come from? How did we get here? What is this all about? What is this doing here? And then
where did you come from? Where did you go?
Exactly. And then this movie becomes kind of their response to that feeling. And the fact that they graft this, like the rise of the boy band, and particularly like the flash in the pan, like boy bands like 98 Degrees and Five, O-Town from Making the Band. Like, what was the one with
Liquid Dreams? Oh god.
What was the one with Chris Farley's brother? There was like a parody one? Was that O-Town or was that?
No, that was I can't remember the name of
the song was Calculus. You plus me equals us.
Yes. Yeah.
Tucker got really excited and ran away. So I'm assuming he actually has the album.
Or their second single. Oh,
Together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their second single. The worst part of breaking up is getting back your stuff. That was their sequel. Single.
You just said those words, Brett. I'm just making sure you know.
Absolutely.
I found this at Goodwill a couple of years ago. I was so excited to see it because you can't get the show anywhere. It's nowhere.
No. Why would it be?
And I'm going to thank TikTok for reminding me about Together. I forgot about them until TikTok reminded me.
I could never forget about Together. That's one of my favorite things that came out of the boy band craze was Together. I just didn't remember the fucking name of the band. But like, and pop acts like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, like kind of rising up and becoming what popular music was. Whereas just a few short years ago, it had been, Kurt Cobain and kind of this grunge rock, kind of, there was something authentic to that. And now it's shiny and polished and new and different. And how does that happen? And how does that happen so quickly? And so the idea of the conspiracy and everything was just born out of that. And that they were somehow able to graft that idea onto an existing IP and make it both a movie that feels very much a part of the Josie and the Pussycats canon and lore, while also being this incredibly insightful and satirical send up of music in this era is an unparalleled feat that I think attention must be paid.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You don't. It's kind of lightning in a bottle. It doesn't happen that often where you get a movie that is as good at doing what it's doing as this movie, as just efficient and proficient at just doing the thing that it's doing. I'm sorry, Brett, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh no, I forgot what I was going to say, so it's cool.
Okay, that works too.
Left my brain as soon as it got there. So, yeah.
Oh man, had it then you lost it. If you forgot it, my mom would say it must have been a lie. If you forgot what you were going to say.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. That's a thing.
The other thing I was going to say is last week on the Howard the Duck episode, you guys mentioned how you had your hot takes that could get you canceled. Do you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Oh
yes,
dear,
please.
do I?
I think Nirvana's overrated.
What?
Oh, does Tucker agree?
No.
Does Tucker maybe agree with that take?
I don't think he's going to say it out loud, but he's going to look real sheepish.
I've gotten crucified for saying that to friends before. Like
I don't know if I would use the term overrated, because in their prime, at the time that they came out, they legitimately changed music, and they deserve, I think, respect for that. But I'm so over them, and I have been for years.
And maybe that's what it is. I wasn't into them
Come on.
at their height, so
they're not really that great. They just kind of happen to be in the right place at the right time. Please don't give out my home address. I want to live.
Right. I don't.
I'm not saying they were bad. They were a talented group of guys. I'm just saying, right place, right time. They're not the end all be all that everybody thinks that they are, in my opinion. And
let's
apparently,
not get it twisted. Like, just because I'm saying they're overrated doesn't mean I'm saying they're bad. I'm just saying some of y'all need to move on. That's all.
Yeah.
It was 30 years ago. It was 30 years ago. It's okay. We can move on. We can do something else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, that's Brett's hot take, trademark.
Nice. Well done.
So yeah, there you go. But I mean, yeah, this movie is, it's really, and I think it's very much a product of its time and place. Like, it is very much late 90s, early 2000s. Like, it is that on the screen purely and unabashedly in a lot of ways, down to the product placements for sure, but also the references, the music, like the fact that TRL is a set piece in this movie is very late 90s, early 2000s. Carson Daly. Oh yeah. Carson Daly now he's a late night host and has been for probably longer than he was ever on TRL.
Is his show still on?
Is he still? He can't
let's find
possibly. Out. No way.
Really can't possibly. Really?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
no.
Like, last call till 2019. Last call.
I mean,
so longer than I thought that it did.
Right.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's a while, man. He did that for a hot minute.
Good
and now he's an executive producer on something called Barmageddon.
Fucking great, dude. Like, take a nap, have a rest,
Where celebrities throw back and throw down. A show he hosts with Lee Metzger and Blake Shelton, it looks like.
Okay.
Who's the guy with him in the studio that says he's Carson Daly, but it's not him, and he does the really good Bill Cosby impression?
Aries
Spears from Mad TV.
But who is he? Oh, that's where I know him from.
Yeah.
Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, I know that guy from something. Is it from this movie or is it from something else?
I saw him on Mad TV and I was like, oh, that's the guy from Josie and the Pussycats.
Nice.
Because I watched a lot of Mad TV reruns on Comedy Central back in the day. So, yeah.
But like, man, I don't know about you guys, but like, whenever they do this in a movie and the guy's just clearly there to do his bit, I just cringe right out of my own skin. Like, it's just all he's there for is just do his bit, and like that's it. Like,
I liked his impressions though. I think they're really funny.
No, but the joke about, dude, you got to stop doing that with the fingernails kills me every time. Like, you're not Carson Daly. Sure I am. Look at the fingernails. That's worth it for me.
Outside of him doing his bit, great. But like, once he like gets into it and you're like, oh, you're just here to do impressions like you do on Mad TV. Like, Why? That isn't like it's.
What would you have rather it be Frank Caliendo?
No, I would have also cringed out of my skin had that been the case. Like, I don't know. It just I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. It just feels like they're getting the monkey to dance. Is just really what it feels like. Like,
I mean,
I get that.
In retrospect, the Bill Cosby impression extra uncomfortable these days.
Pretty hilarious. Yes, agreed. Indeed. Oh, uncomfortable. Yeah, that too. But also really hilarious. Like,
yeah. Talking about Bill Cosby killing her after he, quote, dips his spoon in your pudding. Gross.
Yikes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty gross.
Good times.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think Ari Spears is doing fun stuff. I mean, he's doing what he's asked to do. Like there are, and here's the thing. I think everybody seems really, really dialed into what this movie is. And I mean everybody, like top to bottom, no one is asking any questions about what they're doing in this movie. And everyone is so perfectly cast and perfectly pitched right down the middle in this movie. And everyone is bringing it so fucking hard. This movie, thanks to this movie, I still think Alan Cumming is one of the greatest actors on the planet. I think he's amazing. And this movie has a lot to do with why.
I think Alan Cumming, as an actor, I think he's phenomenal, but there's just not a lot that he's in that I really give a shit about, honestly.
I think within this year, I saw him both in this movie and X2 X-Men United as Nightcrawler.
I hate his Nightcrawler, and it's not even his fault.
I love his Nightcrawler.
His Nightcrawler is great.
I like him. I just don't like the way Nightcrawler's written in that movie, and I don't like the way he looks in that movie.
Whereas I think everything about that character in that movie is great.
And I'm glad it brings you joy. I truly am.
And I love Alan Cumming in that movie. And I for a while was going out of my way to see Alan Cumming movies and performances. Like he's really good. I have not seen Julie Taymor's Coriolanus with him in it yet. Maybe
Who's
or not.
Anus?
No, not Coriolanus. Titus. Sorry, Julie Taymor's Titus. He's the emperor in Titus, but apparently he's hanging dong in that movie. So
speaking of Titus and Alan Cumming, both in Schmigadoon. Just saying, get that Apple TV Plus subscription, Steven. Go ahead and do it. $5 a month. Go. You need it. That's your favorite show, and you don't even know it yet.
It's true.
Not the same Titus, the other Titus from Kimmy Schmidt.
I haven't even seen Schmigadoon, and I know it's probably Steven's favorite show.
Oh, it's your favorite show, Steven. Like, so, Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key got together one day, and they were like, we should make a show. We should make a show for Steven, though.
A show for Stevens?
Yeah, and then they called up the Cinco, what's his name, the dude that is the creator of the show, and it's like, we should make a show for Steven. What do you think Steven would like? And then they made this show. Both seasons.
Yeah.
All right.
That's true.
Martin Short's in that bitch, man.
I do love Martin Short. At one point in my life, Martin Short was like my second favorite actor. So
I mean, he's a treasure.
I do love him.
He's a sweet boy.
You also got to bring it back. I gotta mention Alan Cumming in Goldeneye.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic in Goldeneye.
I am invincible.
Yep.
But I mean, the man's accent work is absolutely incredible. Absolutely impeccable. Every movie that we've mentioned, he does not do his actual real accent in any of those movies. Man is fully Scottish.
Yes,
and he's doing a British and American accent in this movie. He's also in Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, which he's great in. He's doing a German accent in X2. He's doing a Russian accent in Goldeneye. Like, the man's accent work is absolutely incredible. He is a phenomenal performer. And this was my introduction to Alan Cumming. I would not know who he was without this movie. Parker Posey as well. I had not seen a Parker Posey film before Josie and the Pussycats. And
I feel like
speaking of performances perfectly pitched to what this movie is, God, she is doing everything.
If only they would have written Blade Trinity to work with a character like that, because she does really great in that movie too. It just doesn't work in that movie.
Right.
We already got Ryan Reynolds shooting his mouth off. We don't need like somebody else, and she does the same performance and it's just as good, except she's a little more evil because she's literally like eating people and stuff.
Sure.
But it's just not the movie for it, and it kind of sucks. I saw her in Dazed and Confused. That's the first thing I saw her in.
Nice.
She's in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, I mean, I've returned to her many times because she's a frequent collaborator with Christopher Guest, and I love Christopher Guest films, with the exception of Mascots. Mascots is very bad, but the rest of Christopher Guest stuff is really good. And she's in A Mighty Wind, Best in Show, for your consideration, phenomenal in all.
But is that how they get Eugene Levy for this movie?
Probably.
Maybe.
The Christopher Guest connection?
Maybe.
That's what I always assumed.
And I also love the fact that Levy is a Canadian actor talking about how great America is. That never ceases to make me laugh.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. And, it's great. He was kind of in his mainstream peak. This was during the American Pies.
This is like just a couple years after American Pie, right? The same year as American Pie 2, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of like
people who already knew who he was. But at that point, he was on. Everybody knew who he was. He had everybody's attention at that point.
I mean, he was in SCTV. He was in both Father of the Bride movies. Like he'd been kind of a comedy guy, like a background comedy guy for years. Mm-hmm. But thanks to American Pie, like he kind of reaches this new level of fame. And then in the midst of all that, he's doing the Christopher Guest movies as well and pulling a lot of people into those. So like people are like, oh, it's Jim's dad in a movie about dogs. This will be fun. And then they discover Parker Posey and Fred Willard and all the other people in that movie doing incredible work. So, yeah.
Can we talk about Rosario Dawson? Because
you mean the hottest woman in the world? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if she has gotten shorter over time or if everybody in this movie is short, because she's very tall in this movie.
I think everybody in this movie is very short.
I'm going to say every other film I see her in, she is average sized at best. She's just so damn tall. She might be wearing platform shoes. Who knows?
I'm going to Google Rosario Dawson height.
I do love, I don't love racism, obviously, but I love the dynamic between Alan Cumming and her, because he always he acts like she doesn't exist, and it's really sad and offensive, and I love it.
And I mean, yeah, that's 100% intentional, which is, it's.
She doesn't get an invitation. They almost leave without her in the cab.
Okay, so here's how this works. Rosario Dawson is 5'7", so she's about as tall as I am.
Oh, that's not bad. I'm maybe an inch or two taller than her. That's cool.
Tara Reid is 5'5".
Oh, dang.
Rachel Lee Cook is 5'2".
Holy shit.
So everyone in this movie is short. Yeah.
Holy.
Everybody in this movie is short as hell.
No wonder those Les Pauls look huge on her.
Parker Posey also 5'5". And Alan Cumming, I don't think, is a very tall man either. Alan Cumming's 5'9". Well, he's 5'10". He's 5'10". So, which I mean, 5'10" is, that's kind of like Hollywood code for you're not 5'10", but everyone says, oh, I'm 5'10".
5'12", 5'11". I said 5'12", as if a foot wasn't a thing.
Well done.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
So everyone in this movie fairly short. But yeah, Rosario Dawson, gorgeous in this movie. Actually, again, I don't think anyone in this movie has ever been hotter than they are in this movie. Good Lord, everyone in this movie is so fucking hot.
Agreed.
And boys and girls and everything in between, all just looking real good.
It breaks my heart that Rachel Lee Cook didn't really do much after this movie. And it also kind of breaks my heart that what happened to Tara Reid after this movie, honestly. Like,
before we get into that, we should do the plot at some point, right?
Let's do. You're right. Keeping us on track. How dare you?
Always breaking up good conversation with a stupid plot.
Look, man. Look, at this point, should we just get rid of this segment? Like, what the hell?
No, it's funny because it's a crapshoot as to when we're gonna remember to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of the part. That is kind of the game that we're playing here. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go ahead and for those of you at home who don't know, the plot in 60 seconds is the part of the show where we recount the plot of the movie that we're watching in 60 seconds or less. And Brett's going to roll the die of mild indifference. What did we?
I thought it was the D6 of Justice. And
D6
still,
of
this
Justice?
one's just,
No,
it's only the Canadian quarter that's...
I came up with an alliteration thing for this one last time, and I forget what it was.
D6 of Destiny?
Yes, there it is. That's it. That's the one.
The D6 of Destiny.
Yeah.
Brett's going to roll the D6 of Destiny after he's going to assign some sides to each of us and roll the D6 of Destiny to decide which of the three of us will be recounting the plot of 2001's Josie and the Pussycats in 60 seconds or less. Brett, who's who?
Well, since we're all pretty the same on this movie, we all three of us enjoy it. I'll be 1 and 2. Steven, you're 3 and 4. Tuggy, you're 5 and 6.
Sounds good.
Copy that.
Let's give it a roll, and that is a 3.
Damn, I am still, even as random as this thing is, I am still always the one giving the plot. Why? How does that work?
I don't know, man. Look, it's perfect. It's normal odds. Like, I don't know. It's a 1 in 3 chance,
Fortune
basically.
favors the brave. And you're brave, Steven. That's what
No, Fortune's not failing. Fortune's not favoring me. It's failing me.
As someone who plays D&D on a regular basis, kinda, that happens, man. You could roll really low an entire session, and there's no explanation for it. Just sucks. Them's the odds, baby.
All right, we'll set the timer.
Oh, you got that, Brett?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, good.
All right. Ready to go whenever you are.
And Brett will give me the 30 and 10-second warnings as we go.
Indeed.
There's a boy band called De Jour, and they are on a play hottest band in the world. They crash outside of Riverdale on their way to a concert. And so their managers, dude, I'm giving the plot here. Stop it.
Sorry, I can't.
Their manager needs to find a new band. So he finds a literal garage band of girls called Josie and the Pussycats in Riverdale, signs them to a contract, and they become international superstars overnight. But surprise, the record label is putting subliminal messages under their music to sell everything from beverages to clothing to and everything in between. And so eventually they make it big. They kind of have a falling out. They break up. The conspiracy tries to remove Val and Mel, but Josie figures it out, and they all set out to stop it. Evil record producer Fiona and Alan Cumming, her sidekick, and then they perform a concert at the end, and everyone loves their music. And the end.
And that's time.
Sorry, Steven, I couldn't help it. It's only the best joke in the movie. And then the pilot takes his gum out and sticks it on.
You know who plays the pilot?
That guy who plays the pilot?
The director of this movie, Harry Elfont.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, little director cameo there as the pilot of the plane.
And then, then when the Josie and Pussycats are on the plane and he busts in there, he starts to take the gum out of his mouth again. He's like, no.
No, my favorite joke in the movie is still de jour means seatbelts, de jour means crash positions. There is no greater joke in cinema history than de jour means seatbelts, de jour means crash positions. I love it. Everything on the plane that those four gentlemen are doing at the beginning of this movie is sheer perfection. Maybe if you would show Dr. Zaius the proper respect, Dr. Zaius would stop showing you the poo.
Which, based on the blooper reel during the credits, I feel like most of that was all improvised.
Oh, they're improvising all of that. Oh, 100. Those actors improvising? No.
Give me the 2 hours of cut footage of just those scenes, please.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I want that entirely. Heaven forbid you do the face because
you know my mom's dead.
You know my mom is dead, and they all start laughing. Like, it's too bad your mom couldn't give you a new face. You take that back right now. God, I love this movie. Everything on the plane at the beginning is perfect. Basically, all four of those actors, Seth Green, Donald Faison, Breckenmeyer, and Alexander Martin, were all in Can't Hardly Wait, and so they all just came in for a day to do a favor to Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfont to just be in the movie for a day. And they couldn't make it to the end scene. Only Alexander Martin could make it to the end scene because God knows he didn't have anything else going on. And so the rest of them are just played by stunt doubles and body casts, which is such a great joke.
It is pretty great, honestly.
Such an incredible payoff at the end of that movie. And every day I thank God I knew the words to Enter Sandman. Oh, we managed to land the plane. Unfortunately, it was in the parking lot of a Metallica show, and their fans beat the crap out of us. So Josie and the Pussycats, based on a 1963 comic, which was then adapted to a Saturday morning cartoon in 1970, was part of the Archie Comics universe, and was basically the Archie Comics people were really wary about this being made into a live action TV show, because at the time Archie had kind of a wholesome image to it. And so they were concerned about the adult themes and the profanity in the movie. So they actually refused to promote it within the comics at all, which is weird because in 2017 they were all in on Riverdale, which has
oh my god,
all of the adult situations in it.
Well, I think after Archie crossed over with the Punisher, I think they got a little more relaxed about that kind of stuff.
That happened in the early 90s, though.
Did it?
I'm pretty sure, man. I'm gonna look it up.
I believe you. You're the comic
1994.
Guy, right?
I'm kind of bummed we never got the Wolverine meets Jughead, but yeah.
Maybe it was the zombie arc that they did.
Afterlife with Archie. That might have actually been what it was.
Because Josie and the Pussycats did show up in the Riverdale show for a couple of episodes.
I'm gonna look up Afterlife
with Archie.
Cook
and Rosario Dawson and Tara Reid, though.
Nope.
No, who cares?
Well, by that point, they can't afford Rosario Dawson.
I don't know. Yeah. She's still in Kevin Smith movies, so she will take a lower paycheck if it's something she likes. So if it were Josie and the Pussycats, do you see how much fun these girls were having in this movie? She'd come back for some.
I think they all love this movie. And I think this may have been one of the best times any of them had making a movie.
That's why the montages in this movie are so great, because it's just so them fun. Having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
One really of the things, having a blast, not pretending to have a blast.
No, you can tell, and they're all super goofy and just having a really great time, and it shows. It's absolutely evident from top to bottom. And it's great. It's one of the things that I like about this movie is the relationship between the three of them feels really genuine. The affection between those three girls is absolutely genuine. And at the heart of it all, there's a really great kind of empowering message for women, which is great. Let's empower women, please.
Agreed. Yeah, which may be at the time this came out, maybe another reason it wasn't received so well.
Yeah.
What you mean a movie with 3 female leads? No men on the poster to be seen?
In the early 2000s?
However, are we going to market this between men ages 18 to 40?
Indeed.
Man,
hooray!
The 90s and early 2000s were so terrible.
Yeah, suck in so many ways. Yeah. And yet this movie avoids all of the things, all the objectionable shit that tended to crop into movies around this time. We mentioned on our Patreon show, What Are You Watching? Patreon.com/disenfranchised. I watched another great 90s satire, Drop Dead Gorgeous. So much in that movie does not hold up well. There's so many objectionable things and really creepy, cringy kind of things that crop into that movie, and you're just oh, I kind of forgot this was in here. This is not okay. But this movie manages to avoid all of that while still being an absolutely scathing, timeless satire, because the industry has not changed that much. Our culture is still as capitalistic and consumeristic as it was in 2001.
Yeah. I'd say this movie's even more relevant now because it's closer to what we're actually experiencing.
It feels prescient in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. It would make sense if there were a vast conspiracy putting subliminal messages and shit to make certain artists popular and certain artists not. It would make sense if that were the case. I don't know that it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But, maybe that's why this movie didn't do well, is because the powers that be were trying to suppress it for getting the truth out.
Yeah, I didn't hear much from Mr. Movie Phone after that.
Right?
Hey, maybe they got him.
Maybe they got him. Love that guy. Loved him on that episode of Seinfeld where he comes after Kramer because Kramer is making fun of is basically filling in for Movie Phone because his phone number is 555-FILK. And people who misdial 555 film. Yeah. A thing that doesn't really happen much anymore.
Nope.
No.
No.
You do have your number neighbor, though. text your number neighbor?
Nope, never done that. Nope.
Me neither. But it's a thing that people do.
I know. I know people who've done it, and I'm just kind of like, why would you do that?
Because the world is just cringy now. That's all.
The world is a vampire.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'm not going to say anything every time you say that, as long as you don't say anything when I do my questionable transitions by claiming that one thing that is completely different than another is, in fact, the same thing.
I mean, I do that too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone.
Anyway, you were talking about Tara Reid and the terrible things that happened to her after this movie.
Yeah, Tara Reid, man, like she is like in the middle of her ascent here. In '99, she does American Pie. She does a Cruel Intentions and American Pie in '99. Very small role in Cruel Intentions, if I recall correctly. 2 years before that, she's in Urban Legend as well, a movie we will never cover on this podcast. And then also the year before, she is in a little movie called The Big Lebowski.
I gotta go find an ATM.
Brett can't watch though, or he has to play 1,000, or he has to pay 100. That's what it is. She's in American Pie in '99. That kind of is on her way up. And then the year after that, she's in Robert Altman's Dr. T and the Women, part of that massive ensemble cast. 2001, she does Josie and the Pussycats and American Pie 2. And then 2002, it's Van Wilder. And like after that, My Boss's Daughter in 2003. And then poof.
B movies.
It's
she was in the Edward Furlong Crow movie. Like if there's any Crow movie you don't want to be in, it's fucking that one.
The Crow Wicked Prayer.
Exactly.
Brett's like favorite film franchise of all time.
The other sequels are not great, but I see something in them that I can appreciate. But that one, oh my, it's just real bad.
The 2 is fine. I don't hate it.
I like 2. I think it's extremely underrated. It's not great,
but
it's really good.
It's good. Yeah. But after that, no thank you.
There's a reason we haven't done one of the Crow movies on Unenfranchised. Let's just be honest.
Because it would be this one, and we don't want to do it.
No. Now, let's see how the new one comes out, and then,
if it comes out.
If it comes out.
There it is.
I mean, last I heard it was done filming. So,
is Jason Momoa in it though? Because last I heard he wasn't in it, but then he was, and
I don't know what I mean. Like playing
as the lead,
character? No, it's Bill Skarsgård.
Really?
What I heard.
Interesting.
Really.
Look, man, I don't know.
Let's talk about something else, you guys.
I'm cautiously optimistic because, of course, I am. Because it's
another thing that Tara Reid has apparently done. Every fucking Sharknado movie.
Of course, she has.
Yeah,
that tracks.
She's in all of those, I think. Sharknado 2, the second one, Sharknado 3, Oh Hell No, Sharknado 4, The Fourth Awakens, Sharknado 5, Global Swarming, and then the last Sharknado, It's About Time. They made 6 of those. That happened, and we all let it happen.
And Tucker has killed himself.
It's the only appropriate response to learning that there are 6 Sharknado movies.
And you listing off everyone with the subtitle. Yes, I was ready to die.
I mean, look, she's also in the Hungover Games. Like, man, like her career kind of nosedives after that. Like
But why? Is there like a reason? Was she on drugs or something? What happened, Steve? I don't know.
She got heavy into drugs and the wrong side of Hollywood, and
that's fun.
Yeah.
She does a lot of liposculpting. Has gotten a lot of work done as well. It
looks like Vanna White now.
Yeah, she kind of does.
No disrespect to Vanna. Vanna's the shit. Just saying.
Sure. But no, I mean, she kind of gets into drugs and kind of goes off of kind of goes off a little while. It becomes quote unquote difficult to work with, and so stops getting cast in a lot of mainstream stuff, and it's really kind of a bummer. Rachel Lee Cook also kind of disappears after this movie, but not for the same reasons. Like, I wondered when the whole Time's Up Me Too stuff happened, I wonder if she had gotten Me Too'd, and that's why we never heard from her much. And it doesn't look like that happened. According to her agent protected her from Harvey Weinstein, her manager, rather. Like, she had meetings with Harvey Weinstein, and her manager was in the room with her during them. So, like, she's like, I 100% know that I probably would have been a casualty of that had it not been for my manager being there to protect me at the time. Because Harvey Weinstein was apparently instrumental in the movie She's All That getting made, which is kind of the movie that makes her a star. Yep. Which she does in, what is that, 99. And then she does like a couple other movies. She's in Batman Beyond, Get Carter, Antitrust, Blow Dry, Josie and the Pussycats in 2001, Texas Rangers also in 2001, and then just kind of slips slowly into obscurity after that, tragically. Of course,
unfortunate because... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, of course, rising to prominence with the This Is Your Brain, the very popular This Is Your Brain on Drugs ad, where she takes a frying pan and smashes an entire kitchen.
I remember that one.
Hashtag only 90s kids will remember.
I mean,
word.
I was saying that it's unfortunate that both her and Tara Reid kind of didn't do as well after this film, because I mean, everybody in this film does this, but I like to focus on the three leads here. They really embody these characters.
Absolutely.
Like, these are girls I knew. Like, I knew these girls.
Absolutely.
Like, I knew people I was friends with people like this. I think that's another reason why that I still enjoy watching it so much. Because it reminds me, it's another one of those movies like The Rage Carrie 2. These are my people. Mm-hmm. These are my fucking people, man. Like, it feels like I just went back in time and I'm hanging out.
It rings true. It feels genuine, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say you can tell that they were having the time of their life. You can tell they get along really well. Like, none of this feels acted. It feels lived in. It feels real, which is, and I think that helps this movie a lot, is that these three performances are so grounded and so realistic. Even though, you get Tara Reid kind of playing over the top as the ditz, there's still a humanity to Melody that is really humanizing and really fun. And so you're not looking at her going, okay, but is she really this stupid? You're looking at her going, she is so dumb and I love her. Like, I just want to give her a big old hug.
I call it the Jason Mewes effect.
Kinda, yeah. I think Mewes, it doesn't play as well long term with Mewes.
No.
Maybe if we got like
early days.
Yeah, maybe if we got a whole franchise of her doing that, maybe it would start grading. But like, no, this movie it's absolutely perfect. And like, Rosario Dawson is very much the heart of the band. Like, it's all right there, and everyone embodies their role, kind of maybe the mom of the group, sort of, too, in a way. Like, it's all really sweet and really well actualized, I think, and I love it.
I think what's especially impressive about Rachel Lee Cook's performance is that it's a character that would be very easy to fuck up, and has been fucked up a billion times since this movie has been made.
100%.
It's hard to nail that character without going too far into one aspect of the personality, because Josie's a very complicated character.
Yeah.
Like, she can be a little spacey, but she's also like really tuned in to her emotions. And I mean, she's got a lot of stuff going on, and Rachel Lee Cook plays that very naturally. Like, I would believe that if that's just how she is in real life.
Yep. I would too. I would have no problem believing it. Some alternate casting in an alternate universe. We could have had Maggie Gyllenhaal or Zooey Deschanel as Josie.
No.
I don't know. I like those actresses, but not.
Too, yeah, me too, but
not
no.
Here. No.
Apparently, Joan Cusack. What? No.
Rachel Lee Cook says she does not remember auditioning for this movie, but apparently Kaplan and Elfont she had auditioned for Can't Hardly Wait, and despite not getting a callback or I guess not getting cast in that movie, they liked her and remembered her and liked her enough that they just sought her out for this. Also auditioned for the role of Valerie, Beyonce, Aaliyah and Lisa Left Eye Lopez all auditioned for the role of Val in this movie.
I do love Rosario Dawson in this film, and I think she probably is the definitive Val, but every single one of those I would be interested in seeing.
Right. Yeah. And then Tara Reid also did not audition for this movie. They just pretty much just said, hey, American Pie films are good. You should be in this. And she's like, oh, okay.
Hey, Tara Reid, you want to do some Tara Reid shit, but slightly dumber?
There you go. And of course, for the music, Kay Hanley is the lead singer, provides the singing voice of Josie.
From Letters to Cleo.
From Letters to Cleo. And Biff Naked also performed some backup vocals as well. The songs most of the songs were written by Adam Schlesinger from Bowling for Soup, or I'm sorry, Fountains of Wayne, not Bowling for Soup, Fountains of Wayne.
Same thing.
And basically the same thing.
He's the guy who brought us That Thing You Do.
That's a good movie. Speaking
of, which is what I was going to say. This movie has like a little like sprinkling of That Thing You Do in it, like very, very much.
I think part of it is the music, but this guy was like a prolific songwriter for a lot of people, like did a lot of movies, did a lot of this kind of stuff. And he passed away in 2020, I believe, shortly after the coronavirus started. I'm actually wanting to check and see. Yes, he actually did die of complications from COVID.
Lame.
At the age of 52 outside of New York City in a little town called Poughkeepsie. So yeah, but he wrote Pretend to Be Nice, Babyface, as you might have guessed from his appearance, does a couple songs for the movie as well.
He's a producer on the film too.
Mm-hmm. Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfont wrote 3 Small Words, trying to make it the subliminally dirtiest song ever.
Yes.
Punk Rock Prom Queen, Brown Paper Magazine, 10 Ticket Thrill Ride, Don't You Want to Come Inside?
I don't want to answer that question.
Yeah, right.
Like that was very indicative of the music at the time. You go back and listen to a lot of boy band songs nowadays; they were dirty as fuck.
And I think Backdoor Lover is a really great indication of that.
Yes.
They're talking about butt stuff, you guys.
Yes. And I remember when my friends and I saw this, and in early 2000s, looking at each other like, a bunch of Christian kids looking at each other going, is this about what I think it's about? And trying to find ways to excuse how it could possibly not be about what it's obviously about. And then finally coming around years later going, yeah, that song's all about butt sex.
If I can, while you take a breath there, Steven, if I can bring it back to Letters to Cleo for just a second. They still play some of the songs from this record at their shows. People almost demand it.
Good. They should.
Like,
awesome.
Spin Around, 3 Small Words. I don't remember what other ones. I know they play at least those 2. I started looking it up, but then I stopped. Oh, Pretend to Be Nice. They still play that one live. I mean, some of these are from 2021 where they're playing these songs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they are definitely have embraced their part in the making of this certified classic.
Also, I love the countdown in the chorus of 3 Small Words. 6 whole hours and 5 long days, 4 all your lies that come undone. Those 3 small words were way too late, so you can't see that I'm the one.
Indeed.
Countdown from 6 to 1. It's great. It's beautiful. You'll love to see it.
Well done. Solid songwriting. Who'd have thought?
Right? Yeah, and that's another thing, is that these songs are actually bangers. Like, so often you'll hear like a music, or you'll see a movie and they're like, oh, this is such a great band. And then you listen to their songs and you're like, this kind of sucks. Like, who wrote this shit? And this is not one of those movies. Like, you listen to this stuff and you're like, I can absolutely see why people like this.
They constantly have to repress. Mondo is constantly repressing the vinyl that they put out in 2019, I believe, is when they first put it out.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And it's constantly sold out. And you're constantly waiting. Like, when I pre-ordered mine,
mm-hmm.
they had pre-ordered the pre-orders, so I had to wait for another cycle. It took me about 1.5 years to get that record after I ordered it.
Oof.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack. It's an absolutely incredible soundtrack, in point of fact. Like,
And I love the presentation of the record that Mondo has put out, because it is the album from the film. And the other 2 songs in the movie, which are du jour songs, they come with it, but they're not on the album because that's Josie's album. That's Josie and the Pussycats album. You get it on the 45 that comes with it.
That's amazing.
Both the du jour songs
as like a single. That's fun.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. I like that a lot.
Pretty good. Yeah, I ended up doing what I did after I watched That Thing You Do Again recently, and there's probably going to be a couple Josie and the Pussycat songs on my Spotify playlist now.
Hell yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I definitely ate this soundtrack up when I was a teenager. Like, absolutely loved it. So yeah, and as
an early unrepentant Avril Lavigne lover, this definitely hit that wheelhouse for me at the time.
Gonna say there's a lot to love in here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's kind of a harder rock edge. Now, Tucker, you've actually been a gigging musician. How well realized is that aspect? I guess it's only in the early part of the film, but like that aspect of them as kind of, just gigging musicians trying to make it as artists.
Something that I realized with this viewing of the film, and I feel stupid because of it, is that they rented those lanes at the bowling alley to play on. They're not playing a show at the bowling alley because the bowling alley asked them to play. No, right. They had to pay to occupy those lanes and play a show.
Yep.
And yeah, sometimes you do stuff like that just to get your shit out there, man. Sometimes you play to nobody.
They did make $20, but
but
they had to
for the shoe rental.
Minus $5 for the shoe rental each. Yeah.
One of the most promising gigs that I ever had, nobody came to. But we played it anyway to a very disappointed venue owner.
Yikes.
He liked the show, though.
Good.
He just didn't like that nobody came.
I mean,
small town, we were new.
It's fair.
But yeah. But no, it's the first part of the film.
So what you're telling me is Skanky had a rock show and nobody came?
Yeah. That is something that happened. It kind of sucked too because the venue did not have their own PA, which is ridiculous for the size of venue that it was.
That is kind of absurd.
So we had to call somebody that was about a half an hour away who was closed that the venue owner knew to rent a PA, and the venue owner paid a lot to get it out there, and then nobody came.
Nobody showed.
Man. But yeah, the first part of the movie, it is a little bit like that, especially if it's there have been a few bands where we have lived together as a band. And so that for me is more the aspect that feels the most realistic about the first third of the film, is them living together and it being their life, Yeah. So that's what I have to say about that.
All three of them sharing a single packet of ramen.
Yeah.
Because, they made $5 on their show. God, I love this movie so much.
I wish they would have paid off Josie being a good mechanic. They could have worked that in there a little bit more. Because I feel like
there's another cut of this movie that's like another half an hour to 20 minutes longer.
That probably plays in at some point, right?
The bus breaks down somewhere and she's got to fix it. And so she shows up to the gig sweaty and covered in grease or something. I don't know.
Which
looks like
Alan
M sort of disappears for large chunks of this movie.
As he should.
Remember that he's a thing.
What a non-entity of a character in this
really,
movie.
Yeah. I feel like there could have been more of that through line. But...
I think there's enough of it because he serves his purpose, but this movie is not at its core a love story.
I agree.
Does it drive the plot sometimes? Yes.
When it needs to.
I think he's there as much as he needs to be. I do like their relationship. I like that their part of the plot is not overcomplicated. It's pretty by the numbers. There's a misunderstanding, so they're mad at each other, and then they declare their love to each other, and they're together, and it's wonderful, and it's great, and there's just enough of it. If there were any more of it, I don't
Well,
think
see,
I'd
that's
have
my
the time.
problem with things like that. I hate when they introduce a character that seems like they're going to be important, and then they disappear for a large chunk of the movie. I hate when movies do that.
You know what he is, Brett. You know what he is. He's the stereotypical
the
female love interest.
Oh.
Like in a film like this, if it had been men in the band, there would be a character who exists as the female love interest, who is like there just to perform that very perfunctory action, doesn't have much of a character, doesn't have much to do. That is Alan M in this movie. And I feel like it's almost a comment on that and how, you know, women tend to get relegated to that role. But because the main characters are women, this guy who's like a kind of a non-entity, non-presence is relegated to that role. And I think it's really fun. I think it's kind of funny.
And he's really sweet. And he's very good to Josie, and he seems like a really great guy, but you know what he's described as at the beginning? The hottest guy in Riverdale. He's just an object to me.
Basically.
No, that's true. Yeah.
He's just a pretty face with a guitar, man. That's all he is. And it's wonderful. I, for one, am all for it.
Yeah, man.
All right. Fair enough.
More himbos in movies, please and thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's you guys. That's why I keep trying to tell you we need to do a main feed episode on the Slumber Party Massacre remake, dude.
We're gonna. It's on the list, dude.
Is it?
It is.
It's scheduled? Let me check the calendar.
It's not on the schedule, but it's on the list. We're gonna get there. Calm down.
I had to Charlie Brown walk away.
I was gonna say you're Charlie Brown walking away. Yeah. Cue the Vince Gilardi. Man, what else is there to say about this? That's the thing with movies that are just this good. It's hard to like, because eventually you're just like, damn, I don't know. It's just a great movie.
It is. I had some points that I wanted to bring up, and I feel like I've kind of squished them all in there as much as I could. I'm trying to think if there was anything else specifically that I really wanted to touch on. I liked the DJ in the record store, which is something that used to be a thing sometimes. Mm-hmm. You'd have somebody there on a little island in the middle. I thought that was fun to remember. Again, that very much record stores used to exist.
Very much of the era for sure.
Which also made me think it was weird that with all the product placement, I did because that was very obviously supposed to be a Virgin Megastore.
Yes.
But I didn't see the Virgin logo anywhere, which felt weird.
That is weird. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think anyone actually paid to have their products in the movie.
Oh, I don't know. There was too much. There was 7-Eleven in places where it shouldn't have been. They definitely paid.
But like
7-Eleven was fucking everywhere. Like you see it in every frame of this movie.
Sure. But it feels like it says no money was received from all the product placement in the film. Now that's IMDb trivia, so take that with a grain of salt.
Absurd, and I don't know if
like,
I believe it.
You've got so many different companies doing product placement. Sega, Motorola, Starbucks, Gatorade, Snapple, Evian, Target, Aquafina, America Online, Pizza Hut,
Gatorade
Cartoon Network.
Granola bars? Ugh. There's one of those in this movie.
McDonald's, Revlon, Kodak, Puma, Advil, Bounce, Zima, like so many products.
But you don't drink
in this movie.
I think I should start.
I think I should start. Yeah, I'd love to get a 6-pack of Zima. Or in the whole, I want a Big Mac, but you're a vegetarian. I know, but I suddenly want one. Like, that's how powerful the subliminal messaging is, guys.
Tara Reid gonna be in the toilet for like 2 days if she eats that Big Mac. I'm just saying.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's the danger of being vegetarian for so long and eating meat is, oh my God, your poor R.I.P. your colon. But yeah, like, and again, I think the product placement is brilliant. It feels like there is not a frame of this movie that does not have some logo in it or some product in it. I know that's not true, but it feels that way. Like in that respect, it feels like the movie itself is going out of its way to make the point that the movie is trying to make, in that like this movie is also the thing that we're talking about. Like this movie is guilty of what we're doing. So it's kind of this self-reflective, self-referential takedown of the entertainment industry. And at the end, when they say, oh, well, you know, it's far more effective to do this in movies. And then you realize, oh, that's what we've been doing this entire time. This entire movie has just been product placement for 70 plus different companies.
Josie and the Pussycats is the best movie ever.
Join the army.
Yeah, and that joke and the one about asking Alexandra why she's here, and she says, "Because I was in the comic."
I love it.
Like the meta humor are my favorite jokes.
I know, and it's so good. It's it's really well done. It's not overdone. Like it's not done in a way that kind of feels like winky, like did you get what we did there? But it's fun. Like it works really well, I think. I still don't understand why you're here. Oh, I was in the comic. What? Nothing. Like,
yeah,
perfect.
Move
That's
along.
all you need.
Yeah, don't draw attention to it.
I do love Missy Pyle in this movie, though. I think she's great with the little she has to work with. Her character's not that important to the film, but what she does provide is very entertaining and memorable. She's a memorable character.
Really, really like Missy Pyle as a performer. I think she tends to be really underutilized, which is a bummer, but she's always good. Like she shows up and she'll just knock something out of the park. And usually she's a character actress. So she's like the little spice you put on at the end. Like she's in a future episode of this podcast, Galaxy Quest.
Finally, an episode on Galaxy Quest.
It's coming at some point. We're going to get there. Calm down.
Yeah, long time coming. Yeah. Long time in the works.
She was really good in Y: The Last Man, which was not a great show, but it should not have been canceled after one season.
I liked the comic. I would be interested in seeing the show.
I liked the comic too, but I read it when it came out, and I haven't read it since. So when people were like, "Oh, it's not like this," or "This is different," I don't like it. I'm like, "Is it?" I don't really remember. Like, I remember the broad strokes of the comic, but I thought it was fine. It's not great, but there's some really good stuff going on there, and Missy Pyle is one of those things. She plays kind of a cult leader type, and she's really fucking good.
No, she's great. Missy Pyle, phenomenal. Like, she's done a ton of good stuff over the course of her career. I mean, she's been working since probably the early 90s, mid to late 90s. Yeah. This is one of her early big roles, honestly. This and Galaxy Quest in 99, like, are two of her early big roles before she starts breaking out. And again, she doesn't break out huge. She'll just like show up and stuff. And she
works pretty damn consistently, though.
She does. And most of the stuff she's in, she's pretty good in. She's also in future episode of this podcast, Stormbreaker. That's a movie that we're going to have to cover one of these days.
Can't wait? Question mark.
Based on a YA novel series from James Patterson.
Dang it.
Alex Rider, Stormbreaker. Yeah. So, but no, Missy Pyle, man, she's great. I love it when she shows up. You love to see it. So, but again, she's not a big name. She's not like someone who is going to get top billing, but she's going to come in and consistently act the shit out of whatever you give her to do.
Agreed.
And you'll love to see it.
Great.
So
I forgot to mention, guys.
There's a video game for this movie?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
I looked. I'm surprised there wasn't, because like this was around the time, if I recall, like the rise of Guitar Hero and whatnot.
I think if this movie had been bigger, there probably would have been a Josie and the Pussycats Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero didn't come out until at least, I want to say 2004, 2005.
The first Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero 2005.
I'm saying not because I want you to be wrong, Brett, but because I want us to be accurate.
Guitar Hero is a series of musical rhythm game video games first released in 2005.
Okay, so this movie came out too early. Otherwise, there probably would have been one.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it would have been great for the mobile game market. They definitely would have made something if that were a thing then. For sure.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is, though, I totally forgot that the three leads got together for the 20th anniversary and like had a fun virtual discussion.
That's awesome.
At the time, they sure did. It's on YouTube. You can watch it.
I think I'll need to go do that. There's also around the 20th anniversary podcast that was really, I remember listening to it during the pandemic while I was out mowing my lawn. I would just pop it on and listen to it. And it's really, really well done. Really well researched. It's, I think, an Australian podcast about this movie.
There's a really good commentary on this Blu-ray, you guys. Get this Blu-ray and listen to the commentary, and you will see how much love went into this movie, how much of a passion project this was from the creative forces behind it.
it feels like it. It really does. Like that comes through in the edit, I think, for sure. Like you can tell that everyone involved in this was just having a really great time.
Which I think is what sets it apart, because this movie feels like a 90s movie. Because as I've said before, 90s movies have a feel to them. And this one absolutely does, but there is something slightly different about it that makes it stand the test of time, I suppose.
Agreed. And again, I think part of it is the fact that there's, despite the fact that it is very firmly set in the early 2000s, late 90s, the stuff that it's commenting on is still relevant and still prescient. Like it holds up remarkably well. It doesn't fall into any of the like traps and tropes that don't age well. No gay bashing, no slurs.
I was gonna say, no homophobic slurs. Like when you go back and you're trying to have a good time watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep.
And then your two best friends call each other the F slur.
There's
you're disappointed for a second, and you're like, "Oh, well, I guess that was the time."
I mean, the closest thing that we get to any allusion to homosexuality whatsoever is Justin Chatwin's character at the beginning as the male du jour fan. I love them all. Yeah,
he's like his brothers.
Like brothers. Justin Chatwin, star of the another future episode of this podcast, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, great.
No.
I can tell you're both very excited. We actually have a guest lined up for that one.
Well, good. You and that guest can have a great time with it because Brett and I plan on being sick that week.
Enjoy it. I'm all of a sudden not feeling well for that episode. I don't know why.
In 3 months.
In advance, in anticipation of that one. Ooh, gross. Yuck. But no, again, and just kind of a tiny throwaway role for Justin Chatwin, who would go on to fame as Goku in Dragon Ball Evolution.
I didn't even know that kid was in anything else.
He's in War of the Worlds, the Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds, as the oldest son that runs off to fight in the war and inexplicably lives till the end of the movie somehow. He's on a few episodes of Weeds. He's on the show Shameless. Like he's done a lot of other stuff.
Good for him.
He's in another future episode of this podcast, the 2017 Chips movie with Dax Shepard and Michael Pena.
I always wanted to see that. But I just never have.
It's on the list, man. Not on the
like
schedule,
those two would have
but on
really
the list.
Good chemistry. I don't think anybody likes that movie, but I'm interested in those two actors working together.
I think that is one of those movies that does not exist. Like it just doesn't feel like a movie that is real. Well, it feels like a movie that someone made up.
It's around that time where they were doing, movie adaptations of old like 70s and 80s TV shows.
That was 2017, man. That was well after that.
What? Really? What the
hell?
It was a revival of that.
Oh
genre,
my God.
maybe.
No wonder it probably didn't. You can tell it doesn't exist. Like they're real late to the party on that.
I was going to say
in development since then. And
there you go. That's what it is. Yeah. We could absolutely do an entire month of like 60s and 70s TV shows that were remade in the 90s or later.
Starsky and Hutch for the obvious good one of the bunch.
We can do the Mod Squad. We can do the Beverly Hillbillies. Penelope Spheris's Beverly Hillbillies. Dukes of Hazzard got sequels. Brady Bunch got sequels.
Shit.
No, I mean, that's why I wish we had 21 Jump Street.
Addams
really
Family.
Good. I wish we could talk about that.
21 Jump Street. It's a masterpiece, which is why it got a sequel that is, I think, just as good as the original.
My name is Jeff.
I really wish we would have gotten the MIB crossover. I think that would have been a ton of fun.
I think it would have been. Just the idea that, now you guys are assigned to the Men in Black, and it's Channing Tatum, and Jonah Hill just being Men in Black. That would have been, I think, an interesting way to reinvigorate the Men in Black franchise.
Instead of what we got.
Mm-hmm. Men in Black International, future episode of this podcast. That movie, yikes. Spoiler alert, sucks out loud.
Very much.
Even my parents didn't like that. And unless your movie is really shitty, they will at least say, "Oh, it was a cute show."
Mm-hmm.
They'll at least say that.
So that tells you how bad Men in Black International was.
Golly, yeah. I haven't seen it.
The Blank Check Patreon just did that as their just got done doing that as their one of their more recent miniseries. And by the time they get to Men in Black International, they're just like, this sucks. Everything sucks. Why are we doing this? Whose idea was this? I hate this.
They're
just broken men by the end.
The nearest bridge.
It kind of, yeah. And see, the first one is so good. They're like, this is perfect. All the jokes land. Everything's perfect. I love this so much. And then starting with the second one, they're like, what is this? I hate this. This is bad.
Well, and the whole series is a roller coaster because the first one is great. The
Mhm.
second one is just irredeemable, just horrible in every way.
Featuring Rosario Dawson as the shoehorned in love interest.
And then the third one is like, oh,
pretty good.
This isn't so bad. We're
It
going
is
in a good direction again. Yeah,
what
fine.
it is that they started that movie before they had a finished script, and then the writer's strike hit, so they had to stop. I think is what it was. So they had
Josh Brolin carries that movie on his shoulders.
Kind of does. But that's why the story, like it takes them half the movie to get to like the crux of the story, because they filmed like the first half waiting for them to get a plot. And then once the strike was over, they had a plot, they were able to film the rest of it. But that's why like you have to wait like 45 minutes into the movie before you get like the whole idea of his father being a thing. Like it takes you that long to get there because the production on that film was a fucking mess.
I thought that Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords was really good as the villain, and I thought the design was really interesting and really scary too. Like he's fucking scary looking in that movie, and I think it's really great. I love the villain in that movie.
And you give me a good time travel story, and I'm on board 100% of the time.
Yeah,
so,
way into it.
But thank you for bringing that up, Stephen, because I did want to say, writer's strike right now. I feel like we 100% support writers, and they should be paid what they deserve.
Yes, and let's be very clear. The reason that there is a writer's strike happening, the reason why shows are going to start getting delayed, is not the fault of the writers. It is the fault of the studios that do not want to pay them what they're worth.
Correct.
And we at the Disenfranchised podcast support the writers, and we support their unions, and we hope that they're able to get an equitable, as long as it takes to get the monies and the payments that are due to them. 100%.
Well, quite frankly, we support all unions, and we are for workers' rights across the board. But something I thought, I think streaming, though, in a lot of ways for the consumer, it's very good and very convenient. And this isn't just in the film and TV industry. This applies to the music industry probably more. Like you're not making any money from streaming. No one is making money from streaming except for the people at the top.
Correct.
And I saw an MF with a sign. I was reading a story about the writers' strikes, and I saw somebody who had been in the business since like the 70s, who's still going strong. I don't remember who it was. He had a sign who was like, yo, we made more than this in the VHS days. Not adjusting for inflation.
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous. Nobody's streaming has like flies are coming out of wallets because of streaming.
Right. And they have an excuse now to underpay people. And now with the advent of like Chat GPT and AI, the studio execs are like, well, can't we just get like an AI to write the script, and then we can get like a writer just to punch it up and make it sound like, something humans would say. Like it's becoming more and more of a gig economy, which is not sustainable for the industry, for the film industry at all. And look, like that's some like dark world Russo brothers bullshit, man. Like if you want to know what it's like to see an AI written generated blockbuster, watch a Russo brothers film. Because I have no problem believing that their last movie, Cherry, was 100% generated that way. I would not be surprised.
I believe it.
At all.
I think those boys have good intentions. I just think they're a little misdirected. Honestly.
I think
like
they
those
don't.
Guys, I do, but
they were plucked from obscurity and basically given the keys to the most popular franchise in the world. So they kind of have a very skewed perspective on how the industry works as a result.
They were doing Arrested Development before that?
Arrested Development and Community. Like they were plucked from TV sitcoms. And honestly, it was they directed the paintball episode of Community, which is I guarantee you what got them the job on Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I guarantee you that's what got them that gig.
That's a good movie though. Winter Soldier's good as hell.
It's one of the better ones.
I like that. It is. And I heard a story over the course of the press junkets for Guardians. Because the first MCU F-bomb is in the new Guardians movie.
Nice.
And
I'm glad they gave it to James Gunn.
Well, so here's the thing. According to James Gunn, he was worried about keeping it in there because Chris Pratt improvised it.
Sure.
But he thought it was hilarious and wanted to keep it in the movie. So he was worried that Disney was going to tell him no. So he had a discussion with Kevin Feige. And he was like, look, it is really funny, but do you want that to be your legacy? That you had the first F-bomb in the MCU? James Gunn, of course, was like, fuck yes, I do. Of course I do. That sounds great.
This is the man that gave us the Peacemaker with the t-shirts that said, oh, fuck, it's the Peacemaker. Yes.
This is the man who gave us Romeo and Juliet. Look at where this man started. Like,
yes.
But apparently, Endgame was supposed to have the first F-bomb in the MCU, and Kevin Feige had that same conversation with the Russos, and they said, no, we don't want that to be our legacy. Hell no, take it out.
Where was it supposed to be?
They've never said. A lot of people assume it's a Tony line. Like, it's either at the end when he snaps, he says, I'm Iron Man, fuck you, or like, I'm fucking
fuck you, I'm Iron Man, I'm fucking Iron Man.
Yeah, something like that. Or when he's talking to Cap and he says, like, fuck you, you weren't there. Like, something like that. Like that conversation.
You know who it should have gone to? Samuel L. Jackson.
Howard the Duck? Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Howard the Duck. They should have said it at the same time.
In the new Guardians movie, by the way.
Yeah?
He's got a couple lines, too. It's pretty
good. A couple? Hell yeah.
Too, yeah.
I mean, he's been in every time with the exception of Love and Thunder, every time the Guardians have appeared, Howard's pretty much been there, like in the background somewhere. Like, he's in Endgame. Like, it was one of those things, like the Russos were like, could we put Howard the Duck in this scene? Like, is there any reason why we couldn't put Howard the Duck there? And then he's in both of the previous Guardians films. Like, we talked about it last week. Howard the Duck, great character. I would love to see him come to Earth, and I would love to see Seth Green star in a Howard the Duck movie. I think that would be a lot of fun. That's a Howard the Duck
movie I would watch. But before we get too off of our tangent here, I want to say that I think the fucking Endgame should have been when Cap calls Mjolnir, and he calls it back, and then just a collective fuck from everybody that sees it. We're just all like, fuck.
That's legitimately, though, that was that was every theater in America when that happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, I still tear up thinking about that, and I don't even really give a fuck about it that much.
It's a good moment, but it's not as
good. Yeah,
it's not as cheerworthy as the Flash breaking the Speed Force and Zack Snyder's Justice League. What a beautiful moment that we all shared together and cheered out loud at.
Steven, are you okay?
God, I hate the Oscars.
I think Steven just had a stroke.
Yep, I'm dead. I'm no longer alive. I died.
I liked the decision to present it in 4:3. I thought that was really cool. I want a double VHS of the Snyder Cut in black and white. That's what I want.
Well, I'm surprised you don't have it already, honestly.
If it exists, I'm going to buy it right now.
I'm sure you will.
No, Tucker, no.
I don't think it exists. Why not?
Tucker, why? Why are you like this?
What other thoughts? Give money to Zack Snyder.
What other thoughts do we have about 2001's Josie and the Pussycats?
I think it's great. It's real fucking good. That's all.
Best. It's probably the best.
Pretty great.
Let me look at the cast real quick to make sure I've mentioned everybody I wanted to mention. Yeah, I think as soon as we stop the recording, I'm going to think of like about 30 things I wanted to say that I didn't say. But
I mean, you're editing the episode, so you could easily just like drop them in right here.
I'll be like, oh, Steven and Brett, you both have to go to the bathroom at the same time. Oh, well, I'll just talk for a bit.
But yeah, look, this movie, it rips. We both of us, all of us unabashedly love this movie. Which is why what I'm about to tell you is so heartbreaking. This movie opens the weekend of April 13th, 2001. It opens at number 7, to $4.6 million. In first place, holding steady after 3 weeks, the Robert Rodriguez film Spy Kids. What if there were spies that were kids? In second place, the Along Came a Spider. The
Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judd.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did a bunch of movies there for a while, and they were all pretty okay. Like that's why they kept doing them.
The Alex Cross movies. We can discuss the Tyler Perry reboot attempt of the Alex Cross series at some point.
Kiss the Girls was the other one, right?
Yes, Kiss the Girls was the one with Ashley Judd. Along Came a Spider is the second one with Monica Potter, I believe. In third is opening this week, Bridget Jones's Diary. And in fourth, also opening this week, a little counter programming to Bridget Jones' Diary, Joe Dirt. What if David Spade played a redneck? My first college roommate loved that movie, which is why I don't.
I get why people like it. I do.
I mean, yeah, there was definitely, it seeped into pop culture in the worst way.
There it is.
It was not good at all.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a Double Jeopardy is Morgan Freeman's not in that one.
No, that's Tommy Lee Jones and Ashley Judd.
Damn, I thought
Ashley Judd had a nice little run of thrillers there in the late 90s before she sadly got Feinsteined.
Morgan Freeman. She's in that movie, by the way. She said she plays herself, and it's really, that's I think one of the best parts of the movie, because I told her that movie shit. Like, the story is important and deserves to be told, but the movie just sucks.
Yeah, the He Said, She Said?
It's just called She Said.
Oh, just She Said, okay.
But Ashley Judd is in it, and I think that was one of my favorite parts, because I think it was really brave of her to be in that film as herself, I think. Rose McGowan did not decide to be in that movie. There was someone doing an impression of her on a phone call. Unfortunately, I feel bad for that. I feel so bad for that girl. I think Rose McGowan probably got the worst of it out of that.
I'm inclined to agree based on what I
seems like
understand.
a lovely gal.
Yeah.
She really does. And that sucks.
Yep. Sure does. That whole situation sucks. In fifth place, Blow. The reason that we know who Penelope Cruz is, Blow.
That was a fun movie. I worked at the theater when that came out. Well, of course I did, because I was at the theater when this came out.
Rounding out the top 10, you've got Kingdom Come in sixth place, Josie and the Pussycats in seventh, Pokemon 3, the movie, in eighth, Enemy at the Gates in ninth, and Someone Like You in 10th. The movie makes a grand total of $14.3 million at the box office. Another 54.4 thousand in the international box office. So it makes it 14.3, just a little over 14.3 is ultimately what it ends up making worldwide. Not the kind of numbers you want for any movie that's going to get a sequel.
What's the budget on this?
The budget on this, according to what is reported, let me check. Production budget $22 million was what was projected, and that's probably then not covering things like promotion,
marketing,
and
yeah.
So all in all, a fairly dismal return on investment, and the reviews not much better. The Tomatometer score on this one is a 53%. The critics' consensus: this live-action update of Josie and the Pussycats offers up bubbly, fluffy fun, but the constant appearance of product placement seems rather hypocritical. You're missing the point.
I told you, people missed the point at the time.
You know how people on the internet, they write with alternating caps to denote someone saying something in a stupid voice? That's what you just read. I just saw that in alternating caps.
100%. The Metascore is 47, based on mixed or average reviews from 29 critics. And the Letterboxd score is a 3.5. I think we're going to give it better. Tucker, out of 5, how are you going to rate 2001's Josie and the Pussycats?
It's a 5 for me. It's not a perfect movie, but the parts that work so well that the few parts that don't even fucking matter. Fair enough.
Brett, what about you?
I think I'm gonna, after, it was a 4, but after our conversation, like usual, I'm gonna bump it up to a 4.5.
Yeah. It's an easy 4.5 for me. Maybe one of the easiest 4.5s I've ever given. I struggled, do I give it a 5? I'm holding it at a 4.5 right now, but it is so imminently rewatchable that I could see myself bumping it to 5 pretty soon. But it's such a good film. I love it so much. I might rewatch it later. Who knows? I really do enjoy it. It's the kind of nostalgia bump that I I can go for. Because again, it reminds me of my high school and college days, like that summer right before I went to college, like hanging out with my friends. It definitely reminds me of that. And I kind of love it for that. So
Our
yeah,
people.
That's it. And that is our episode on 2001's Josie and the Pussycats. If you need more of us, and why wouldn't you, make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/disenfranchised to see what we've been watching and playing and listening to, among many other things. We've got content constantly dropping for you over there. You can also make sure that you give us a rating and review on whatever your podcatcher of choice is, particularly if it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. A 5-star rating and review really helps us find other people like yourselves. So please go and do that, particularly if you have not done so already. We kind of live and die by those ratings. So help, please help. You can also find us on social media. We are Disenfranchised Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Facebook. You can also email us, disenfranchisedpod@gmail.com. We are also now, the show is on YouTube, youtube.com/disenfranchisedpod, where you can find, Tucker says, no, that's not it. Why don't you do this, Tucker?
It's just there's an @ symbol before Disenfranchised Pod. That's all.
Okay. youtube.com/@disenfranchisedpod. So you can find us there and download, I think, starting with the Howard the Duck episode, every new episode you can find on YouTube, because apparently that's something that people watch podcasts on YouTube now. So you can watch us there too. You can't really watch us because our pictures will not appear. But you can look at the logo while you listen to the podcast play in the background.
Well, I thought that it would be a good place for us if we wanted. We might maybe do some videos, short videos at some point. I just had some thoughts about, like, if when we're all together in the same place, we could do like a little short video of something. I don't know. I just thought it would be cool to every once in a while drop something on there if people actually start subscribing to the YouTube.
Sure. And who knows, maybe we release those early on Patreon too for our patrons.
Who knows?
Maybe you see those on Patreon before you see them on YouTube. Who knows?
Seems appropriate.
Yeah. But you can find us there now as well. We're now on the YouTube, also Disenfranchised Pod. Check us out there. Also subscribe, like, and tell all your friends, please. I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Chewy Walrus. That's my handle. Yeah, find me there. Brett, what about you? Where can we find you these days?
You can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at sus_warlock.
Right on. And Tucker? As always, I am on YouTube at youtube.com/ice909, ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9. And I have just figured out how to make videos longer than 10 minutes. So I will be restarting the preservation project as soon as I have any time at all to do that. So sometime probably in the next 3 weeks or so, I will start that back up with full LPs of lost or underappreciated and not seen on the internet records that you might be interested in.
Nice.
Also, of course, we have the new Instagram for Tux Mugs, which I believe is at Tux_mugs. No, it's Tuck_mugs.
No plural, just one Tuck.
And unfortunately, I don't drink coffee every day, but when I do, we throw that up there, and there's always a nice little story on there. It's really fun. I'd really like people to check it out because it'd be really cool to see some of your mugs.
Yeah.
We could have them up on there. We're going to throw one of Brett's up on there here in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty excited about that. But yeah, check it out because it's fun and it's harmless and there are a lot worse things that you could see while you're doom scrolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's a dark world. Enjoy it with a mug of something delicious. And
a heartwarming
that's
story.
Yeah. Warm every part of you. And that is all we got for this absolutely banger of a movie, Josie and the Pussycats. Join us next time. We're going to talk about another failed franchise starter. This has been Disenfranchised. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy, for my co-host, Brett Wright and Tucker. Until next time, du jour means friendship. Du jour means teamwork.
Disenfranchised is the best podcast ever. Join the army.